Hello and welcome into today's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks and I am your lead beat writer for Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And I am so grateful to be joining you on this beautiful Sunday night, a day removed from the Arizona State Sun Devils' massive 34-15 victory over the Texas State Bobcats, who are a rising team in the Sun Belt in the Group of Five, and the Sun Devils, unfortunately, were not able to crack the top 25 despite a loss by South Florida earlier in the week. They now sit at number 31, hypothetically, in the country, if you take the AP poll votes into account, the way the votes are arranged. They dropped 5 spots despite picking up a victory, but fear not, Sun Devil fans. The Sun Devils have a perfect opportunity to start out Big 12 play on a very, very high note as they take on the Baylor Bears tomorrow, Saturday afternoon, 4:30 Mountain Standard Time, Arizona time, and it will be an absolutely incredible matchup between Dave Aranda's defensive-minded style and Kenny Dillingham's innovative mix-it-up style. Sawyer Robertson's having a Heisman Trophy level season, which many thought Sam Levitt would have. But Levitt bounced back last week, and he really, really could have a great game against the shaky Baylor defense. It will remain to be seen who prevails, but I feel great about the Sun Devils' chances on Saturday and to start Big 12 play on the right note. But will before we really get into the meat of the matchup later in the week, we will talk about something that is very, very relevant and has been very, very important to me over the last few weeks, is the SEC and their move to consolidate conference play to de-incentivize teams scheduling difficult non-conference opponents to try and keep the playoff as SEC centric as possible. I feel like that's the end goal of what they're doing. And as most of you know, the SEC moved to adopt a 9-game conference schedule instead of 8 games as of 2026, so just next season. And in the addendum, they are required to schedule at least one Power 4 opponent, but that's it. Outside of that, you can schedule all the Group of 5 or FCS opponents that your heart desires. And that just doesn't sit right with me, because now we see Florida canceling their series home and home with Arizona State in 2028 and 2031. I mean, Florida already plays Florida State on a yearly basis. I understand that, but that ends up hurting Arizona State in the Big 12 in the grand scheme of things, and I know that's a business, and they have to operate very, very callously in many circumstances, but it just doesn't feel fair in any way, shape, or form to the Sun Devils. It just really, really doesn't. I don't even know what to say about this anymore. It's very, very frustrating to me. All Arizona State fans want to see is the Sun Devils get an opportunity to continue to prove themselves amongst the best in college football. And now they might not even have a single SEC opponent for the next 8 to 10 years unless they play in the college football playoff. How are they going to rebound from losing these SEC games or potentially losing these SEC games? Are they going to look and schedule a Big Ten opponent? Are they going to schedule an ACC opponent? Are they going to go to the Group of 5? Are they going to have to go to the FCS like they did when they got canceled by Bowling Green and scheduled Morgan State in response? The question is very, very open-ended, and I want to talk about the possibility of them losing other games outside of Florida as well. So, Arizona State has a home and home with Texas A&M starting next year at Kyle Field in College Station, Texas. The game in Tempe is in 2027, and then LSU in 2029 and 2030, and Texas in 2020, 2032 and 2033. So the A&M series, is it too close for the Aggies to cancel? I am not sure. I did not go deep enough into these agreements to see anything that has to do with that. But I would not be surprised if the Aggies canceled if they have the ability to do so. They, just like Florida, have a very, very narrow path to reach the college football playoff compared to a lot of other SEC programs. They aren't in Alabama. They aren't a Texas. They are not a Georgia. They're not a team that pretty much has unlimited leeway to reach their desired spot in the college football playoff. And a potential loss to Arizona State would undoubtedly do them in. That is certain, especially with an SEC schedule. As much as SEC fans want to talk about, I just do not see that being a world that either program could climb out of a hole like that. And Arizona State has become a program that can defeat SEC programs. Yes, they lost to Mississippi State last week, but that doesn't define them to me. We saw them hang with Texas, and that's just a single game sample, but Kenny Dillingham is quickly building up a team full of SEC athletes that just don't get SEC recognition. He's building up a team of SEC production that doesn't get SEC recognition. He's developing players at all positions, at all levels, at all class levels, and they are quickly becoming one of the most well coordinated, well oiled machine programs in all of college football. And I want to go out on a limb and say that some of these programs are intimidated. I really do want to say that. And that is not to say that every single SEC program will scrub Arizona State from the schedule. I do not believe that to be true. I think that, like I said, Texas and LSU, I think they'd be comfortable with that. I think that they see that as a great challenge, and I think that they would believe that they can make the college football playoff win or loss against Arizona State. So we shall see what happens with the non-conference schedules next season. Arizona State plays Texas A&M and Morgan State, as I mentioned, and they also play Northern Arizona again. No, they play Texas A&M and Hawaii and Morgan State next season. They play Hawaii at home this season, and then 2027 they play Cal Poly. They return to Tempe to play Texas A&M, and then they play at UNLV at Allegiant Stadium. 2028 Northern Arizona once again after a 2-year hiatus of not playing them at San Diego State in a home and home. And then the Florida series that just got canceled. What are they going to do to make up for that? We shall see. But as for the 2025 team, Kenny Dillingham has his team right where he wants them. I believe that the defense had a get right game. They allowed just over 4 yards per play against Texas State. The offense, while it wasn't perfect, did really show the high end ability once again as they did against NAU. Sam Levitt was efficient. He had a mistake free game. Jordan Tyson once again proves to be one of the very best, if not the best, wide receiver in all of college football. Raleek Brown really proves to be the X factor of this Sun Devil offense and perhaps the team. And I do not have any complaints about this Sun Devil team. Looking forward in the future, Sun Devil fans should feel absolutely thrilled that Kenny Dillingham is riding the ship, that he is manning the helm, and the future is so bright for Arizona State football, and I could not be prouder to cover it for each and every one of you, because of each and every one of you, and with each and every one of you. And that is all for tonight. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow.